We are back.
We are back.
We are super back. It is episode 96 of the Metal Roundtable. I am Metal Rob, and with me, as always, is the great
Carcass John.
And now we are continuing to be new and improved with the great Scott Sparkling Waters.
I don't see no lifeguard on duty still.
I like it.
I didn't have time to change it this time.
No, it's good. Yeah, we did kind of show up last minute, didn't we?
Mm-hmm.
Not probably my fault for not sending the link out in time. Well,
okay, take the blame. It's cool.
So first of all, your T-shirt says Vomitor.
Correct.
Okay, what have you got, Scott? AC/DC.
Can you read mine?
Yeah,
tough.
I can.
I don't know. That's a hard one.
Back in Canada.
I've got Bucket's Rebel Heart going, former Bad Company guitar player, and current Humble Pie guitar player, Dave Bucket Caldwell. I got a shirt from him. So while we're doing shout-outs, I thought my shout-outs would be something that I remastered recently, and then a couple things that I recently picked up, which also double as shout-outs. Is that cool?
Do what you got to do, brother.
I'll be very quick. All right, first of all, I want to shout this band out. This is Kenny McGee. I just remastered this for a new label that I've started working with called Eonian Records. Kenny McGee sang in the regional band, I believe this was up in the Northeast, Juliet. Anyway, if you love that standard 80s style hair metal, hard rock, whatever you want to call it, this certainly fits that bill. Enjoyed remastering this, and I'm very glad to have Steven and Ryan as mastering clients. So that's awesome, and I just got these in the mail today, so thank you very much for that. This is his Heartless Days 1 and 2. It's like gosh, man, there's a boatload of songs, 27 songs over 2 CDs of different songs that Kenny McGee did. So anyway, there you go. Check that out. Eonian Records.
Are they as good as Dawkins?
They're pretty good. Shut up.
But not as good as
Leave me
Dawkins.
alone.
I mean, are they as good as current Don Dawkins?
As they're better. I'm gonna shut up.
Okay.
Do not make, as the poser would say, do not make fun of my brand of metal.
Okay, you and the
I also now I'm getting more in your wheelhouse here. I also got this.
Sweet.
So I pre-ordered the new Monarch album, Future Shock. Casey sent this to me. He did send me a guitar pick, which was awesome, and a nice note. So I'm hoping to see them at the Haltom Theater in August when he comes through with Cage. Monarch is not coming, Cage is. Very quickly, picked up the new Robin McCauley. It is good. If you like Robin McCauley in anything he's done, you will like this album. That's a very quick review. In anticipation of hopefully next week's show, I picked up the 2 Rough Cut albums, fully remastered and reloaded on Rock Candy Records. And to talk about our topic today, this is an indie band that I found out about called Blackwater Rising. And they've got 2 albums and an EP. Scott, I think you would love this, in the vein of like Red Sea that we've worked on, that bluesy, sludgy, southern metal kind of thing. Very easy to understand the vocals, very riff oriented. It's not thrash, it's just good hard rock or traditional heavy metal. Blackwater Rising. You'll love this.
Right on.
Got those from the singer himself. And then Carcass, this is it for me. I went into Movie Trading Company over the weekend, and I picked up something that is just going to make your little head swim.
Yes. Oh, that's a good record. I saw them on that tour. They're really that's a really good record.
So it was suggested to me to get 3 cattle decapitation records. One was the most recent one, which I pre-ordered that, and it's awesome. And then this is Monolith of Inhumanity. This was the one that was going to complete my trifecta of suggested cattle decap records. So there you go. Nod to the carcass on that deal.
Awesome.
So who are you shouting out, big man?
Well, Meteor Gem Records.
Nice.
In Ohio. They hooked me up with something I thought I would never get. Once again,
A girlfriend?
Meteor Gem.
Oh,
Phrenolith on vinyl.
nice. As I look at the screen very unprofessionally to see what you're holding.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. And it was a very reasonable price. They were good guys, came packed great. And I want to shout out Stone Trip, and that's why I'm wearing an Aussie-oriented shirt, Vomitors, from that crazy southern part of Australia. There must be something really going on with the ice cap or something. But I switched up. I started a drawing for Stone Trip, I don't know, a month or so ago, and I sort of got inspired. So here it is.
Oh,
Here it is.
Oh, you're just not even gonna.
No, I'm just gonna let that ride the way it is. But
Okay.
Don't worry, boys. You got a killer shirt design coming your way, and I can't wait. Didn't they just release another song this past?
They did. It's called Runaway, and if you dig the first song, you'll dig the next song equally. I mean, it's just.
Well, notice this young woman's looking sideways, so that was my inspiration.
Okay.
So, anyway,
I like it.
That's my
I
shout
love
out.
those dudes. I can't wait. I cannot freaking wait for that album to come out.
Maybe it was me, but did you think it had a little bit of an Alice in Chains vibe to it? The new
I
song.
think there's a little bit, and I tell you what, I'm gonna tip our hand on the topic. It's not like you can't read it, and I don't want to stop your shout outs, but I found out about a band on Golden Robot, which is the label that
Stone Trip
is on, called Cicada Stone. And Scott, if you want some new Alice in Chains influenced music, holy cow, Cicada Stone, fantastic. Label mates with those boys on Golden Robot. So who are you shouting out, brother?
Were you done, John?
I'm done.
Oh.
Yep.
Okay, well, it is a day after, but I'm going to shout out all those people who gave their lives so that we could do stupid crap like this.
Yeah, I think it's pretty weird that, as I posted on a controversial post on Instagram, that less than 20% of the American public actually know what Memorial Day is for.
Yeah,
thanks, Scott, for doing that. That's pretty awesome.
Yesterday I listened to a podcaster, and his whole podcast was just sharing stories from past wars, recent all the way back, the First World War, Second World War, the Civil War, and all these different wars that have been fought, and even ones that people like to put down, like now, like the Korean War and and stuff like that. But he was just talking about stories of bravery and these military men who gave up their lives, ultimate sacrifices, didn't even think about their own lives to either save other lives or just to preserve our freedom. Mm-hmm. I heard one medic that he took a shot, kept working on people, took another shot, kept working on people, got his arm blown off and could no longer work on people. So until he was bleeding out, that he wouldn't let them work on him, and he sat there and told other people how to fix and work on people until he passed. I was like, man, I wish I could remember his name, because it was so many people. He said so many people, I can't remember all the names now. But man, it's not metal to say, but I told my wife as she walked by, I'm like, man, this guy's making me cry. It's incredible. Yeah. Incredible.
Memorial Day is for the ones that died, and Veterans Day is for the ones that have served or are serving.
Exactly.
That's right.
So anyhow, that aside, I'm going to shout out a couple things too. Madrost is out. Maleficent, their first album, is reissued, CD, shipping, bonus track on the CD that wasn't on the original, unreleased track called Perceptual Constancy. And and the vinyl is in and shipping probably the end of this week. So vinyl and CD for Madras Maleficent is out. If anybody's interested, NoLifeTillMetalRecords.com, or just go to NoLifeTillMetal.com and click on the records button. So that's my self-serving thing real quick. But I got this in today, and Rob, you'll find this interesting because we just finished this up. So it came in like a week too late, maybe 2 weeks too late. An original promo photo of Combat Faith.
Cool.
Yeah. Like I said, a bit too late to use in our in the CD we just worked on. Rob did the remastering, and I did the graphics for it and everything. So if anybody's interested in Combat Faith, just classic speed metal from the US, 89 to 91, roxrecords.com. And then one more. Well, I could do 3 more, but I'll just do one more. This one's exciting because I saw this on Carcass's wall when I was at his house, 2-3 months ago, and I'm like, gosh, got to find that. It's one of the ones I just don't have. And yay!
Oh, nice.
All right.
Was one of the few Aerosmith Japanese pressings I just didn't have. And surprisingly, with shipping, under $25.
Wow.
In great condition.
Nice. That does seem surprising.
Right on. Yeah, I was shocked.
Carcass does have the uncanny ability to come up with Japanese pressings of things.
But I also got a couple other ones. I got a 7-inch of the Primitive.
Nice. Not familiar.
I can't remember the name of the drummer, but this drummer has played in just about every named death metal band you can think of. Yeah, anyhow, it's death metal. That's what it is. Oddly enough, I stuck it on the turntable, put it on as 45, assuming that it was 45. I'm like, wow, I thought this was death metal. This is black metal. This ain't no death metal. I'm like, and then I look at the thing and 33. Oh, that's better.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, the drummer did play in this band for a while too.
Oh, and Master. Okay.
Okay.
Cool.
And this is a couple unreleased demos they were just released, I don't know, maybe a year or so ago.
Yep, exactly.
On 7-inch vinyl. So
Awesome.
yeah. So there you go. That's my shout outs.
Awesome. Well, I met everybody that got a Final Decree record. There were 3 people that got a Final Decree record last week, and I sent out a Rot record. That has all gone out in the mail as of this morning. I'm sorry it took me a few days, but they are all gone. I don't remember who got them. I should have written their names down. Aaron Capps was one. Anyway, I've still got a handful of these. So if you want a Rot triple black record, just message me somewhere. Facebook preferably if you can. Hit me up, send me a PM, and I will send you a Rot triple black record. I think I've got about 10 of them left. They are limited to 1,000 worldwide, and they are on blood red vinyl. This is very clean. You can understand every word the guy says pretty much. Very mid-paced. Am I saying, you think so, Carcass? You agree? Mid-paced, good, clean, very well recorded thrash.
It's more like it's like it has an Exodus vibe to it, but more like Blacklist. The song Blacklist by Exodus. It's more of a mid-tempo. It's not a ripping, raging thrash, although there are some moshing, riffing moments.
Oh, of course.
It's a good record. Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, it is. It is a great record. So Wade sent me these from up in Casper, Wyoming a few weeks ago and wanted me to give them away for free to our viewers. So if you want one, just send me a message. Just make sure and give me your address and I'll get one out. Let's get to the show. So this is episode 96. We are coming up very quickly on episode 100, which is going to be a pretty easy recap of the show, which will be fun. I'm excited about episode 100 coming up. I can't believe we're already at 100. But one of the things that we want to talk about today, which seems like a very simple thing, and by the way, shout out to Donnell Blair, shout out to Spicoli. Thanks for watching. Baron Von Headbanger, thank you for watching. We saw your comments come up a second ago. Thank you very, very much. But one of the things that we're going to talk about is, and yes, I will send you a Rot record, Scott. I'm monitoring all messages right now. One of the things that we wanted to talk about, which seems simple, but I think it'll be a good topic, is how we discover new music. So I want to talk real quick first about how I used to discover new music. And as a teenager getting into heavy metal, there were two ways that I remember, three ways really, because word of mouth is always a good one. I already mailed that record out, Scott. Sorry. I'll have to send it separately. I'm getting message from the show, my fellow show host. So anyway, there were three ways. Word of mouth is always good up until this day. You know, just listen to your friends. What are they checking out? But back then, you could do something that you can't really do much anymore, and that was listen to the freaking radio. And if you were into metal, you could go on here in Dallas and you could listen to the Zoo had a late night metal show, and Q102 had a late night metal show. But the Eagle had one called Headbangers Heaven. And that's how I found out about Hellstar back in the 80s. And so that was a way to do it back then, was to talk to your buddies, or you could also go into a record store. Remember when you could go into record stores and flip through records and just, oh, that looks cool and I'll buy it, or you'd get a compilation album or whatever. But now I'm going to start with you guys. Carcass, how do you find new music? What are your avenues for finding that? And I'll wrap us up.
Well, I have an eclectic approach, but not unlike you. We used to have what we call the bicycle sessions, where we had one friend of ours whose dad had this giant Pioneer sound system, and he was cool enough to have instructed his child. In fact, his nickname was Caveman, Steve Hokinga, and his dad was cool enough to have instructed him on how to use the turntable and the amp and set up the speakers. And we used to ride our bikes over there with a backpack full of records, and we would have a listening session. And it was always interesting that we'd go around the room and everybody had I found this record. And it was hard to, and I still take the same approach sometimes, where basically, like you said, you look at a cool cover and you'd think, wow, this looks so cool. I hope it's as cool as the record cover. And music sort of used to be that way. And I'm especially in metal, I'm thinking of, the Black Sabbath covers. They were so eerie and creepy, and the music sounded like the covers. I'm thinking of Sad Wings of Destiny by Judas Priest, how epic that was. And it was just so ethereal, yet had a heaviness to it. So I still take that approach to it. In fact, I brought some examples of sometimes, I generally go right straight. I like to go record shopping, and when the clerk says, "Did you find everything you were looking for?" I always tell them the same thing. I found everything that I didn't know I needed until I walked in here and found them. So, but I like to go to the cutout bins, because one man's meat is another man's poison sometimes, and I've found some just great records, and they're so cheap. That you can take a chance for $2 or $1 or 50 cents, and you just never know what you're going to get. So, like for example, I walked to a record store and I saw this. It's spray painted, fluorescent colors. It has this awkward, weird picture glued to it. It's just a plain white cover. There's no labeling on it at all, and it's just spray painted. And so I thought, well, that looks interesting enough to where for $1, I'm willing to take a chance on it. This is a band called Jalopy, and the album is called Owner's Manual on Womb Tunes Records. And for $1, I tried it out, and not only does it look cool, but it actually is pretty cool. It's a cool record. So, and I know you can't always judge a book by its cover, but it's kind of fun to do that sometimes. I found this one the other day by a band called Sand. Anybody ever heard of Sand?
Nope.
This is really cool, groovy, psychedelic, and it was a little more than $1. But now with the internet, that adds to the ability to check out something.
Right.
And so I looked them up, and I thought, man, that is just too cool. So anyway, I take a graphic approach to things. Like, George Duke, he's one of my favorite keyboard players. He's done work with, Hendrix and Bill Laswell and Billy Cobham and so forth. And I just thought this Like it's like, hey, this is George saying, hey, come over here, Carcass, and buy this record. I got something for you. So, but
That's
anyway,
cool. Well, and one of the guys in the comments, you alluded to this, talking about finding one album that takes you to something else, and this is a very, very good way to find new music, is just go search anything on YouTube, and you will end up in a rabbit hole that you can never get out of, man.
Well, and you know that I like the pile of sticks thing. So
Yep.
when I saw this is, I mean, can anybody tell me what that says?
Pile of poop.
Hang,
Bueller. No, it's called
Snake.
It's called Pseudo God. I've never heard of these guys. I didn't know who they were. I was attracted to it because I just thought that is so ridiculous. And so I was able to, by taking the title and putting it in YouTube, it popped up and it said Pseudo God. So now I know that what this pile of sticks says, and it turns out that it's pretty killer record. So here I discovered a new record or a new band, and like you said, I've Bandcamp and has been one of my go-to things because I can pay the band directly for their music.
Yes.
Whether it's either physical copies or I'm not opposed to downloading it. There was stuff that I really liked when I was over in Amsterdam, but by the time you pay for the shipping, I just want the music. So I'm not opposed to downloading it as long as I know as the monies go to the band, because I want to make sure that they get paid for their hard work. So
well, that's interesting to me that you approach some of the stuff, being an artist like you are, that we've all been attracted to artwork and found stuff, but it seems interesting to me that that's the first thing that appeals to you. I guess all of us have seen records and done that, but I as long as I've known you and knowing that you're known that you're an artist, yeah, that's interesting that you'll just gravitate toward the pile of sticks.
This has nothing written on it. I mean, it's just, and then I thought, well, it's blue vinyl, and it's 50 cents, so I'm going to try it out. So once again, there's some writing on the label. So you YouTube it, you find there's no excuse to not know what you're listening to. But once again, I was attracted to this wacky cover that was minimalist and whatever. And here we go. I've discovered a whole, and that's the thing with Bandcamp is that you go to the band's Bandcamp, and then they say, and if you like this, guess what? You can go to these other bands too that sound very similar. And then now all of a sudden you like 10 new bands after just fishing through the 50-cent bin and finding that. But
I got you, Donnell. I'll hook you up.
Anyway, TJ Lewis says something about the Metalhead box. That's a cool thing too. But Frazier had mentioned something about had we seen the lineup for Hell's Heroes next year in the spring of 2022 down in Houston, and see, once again, there's another way that I like to discover new music is I get to the show early and I stay a little bit late, and guess what you're going to discover? New music. And I see some of these bands, obviously Dark Angel, Candlemass, Riot, Sirathungal, Eternal Champion. There's a TJ band, Enforcer, Whiplash. I mean, there's a whole bunch but then there's a bunch of bands I've never even seen, never even heard of, and so I'm going to discover new music just by showing up I'll pay one ticket and I'll get in and I'll discover a bunch of new bands. So that's kind of fun.
Out with a stack of CDs from Hell's Heroes.
The last time we went, yeah.
I walked right down one side of the merch line, got CDs, picked up. Hadn't even heard most of the bands. Turned around, made a U-turn, walked all the way back down the other side, picked up CDs, came home with a stack of mostly bands that I'd never heard of. So I'll bet as we continue to edge Scott out here, we can keep edging him out of the show, Carcass, if we try real hard.
I think he's going to come back with a vengeance.
I think he is too, because I'm going to set him up right now. I'll bet that if you go to find Scott Waters on YouTube by searching Scott Waters on YouTube, You will find in his 10,000 plus subscribers that the reason that he has gained that kind of attention is because he highlights a shitload of new music. Take it away, Scott.
Yes, I do. Well, that's how I discovered a lot of new music too. On these days, I mean, I was kind of thinking about it back when I was a kid, literally a kid, because I got into music early. I was in like grade school. I discovered new music by what my friends were listening to or what my neighbor was listening to. I mean, I was a kid in grade school and I had this guy who lived down the street from me who was a teenager, and he would blast music from his attic, which is where his bedroom was. I mean, blast it. And I discovered bands. I mean, some of the earliest bands I discovered was like Ted Nugent and Kiss and Aerosmith. I discovered them because some teenage kid down the block was blasting them, and I'm like, well, who's that? And he would show me the Kiss record or the Aerosmith record. I'm like, and I'm still a giant fan of those bands today. Then I was thinking, okay, well, as I got older, I started discovering bands through like compilations, a lot of especially in the 80s. Like Metal Massacre, man, as soon as one of those came out, I'd snatch those up because it was always the new stuff, you know. I mean, and it was what, 82? Was that the first Metal Massacre?
Yeah. Did you ever do tape trading? I mean,
and then I was going to get right to that next. Yep, tape trading too. Even into the 90s, I was still doing tape trading in the 90s.
Sure.
I used to do get into the old fanzines in the back of like Kerrang magazine and just pick people out of there. I like these bands and like, cool. If you like these bands, it'll probably like these bands. You make up a compilation tape, and his address on it. You just ship it to him, and then chances are, many times they would ship it back to you, you know, with a tape with other stuff on it. And I discovered tons of bands that way.
I still get compilations that Carcass makes. He'll make every so often. He'll show up at the house. Hey, here's a CD with 22 songs on it you need to check out.
Exactly. And as a matter of fact, he hooked me up with an Osric Tentacles. I'm the first one.
Scott did it. Scott did it.
There
Scott,
it is.
Scott
Yeah,
did it.
bingo. Who had Osric Tentacles for the win?
He hooked me up with an Osric Tentacles compilation CD that he made, and I played that thing over and over and over again until I started buying my own Osric Tentacles records. And that compilation he made me just the other day, I had a buddy from out of town at my house, and I'm like, you ever heard this band? I popped it on. I popped his compilation on. He's like, oh, I love that. He goes, you should make me a compilation. I'm like, here you go. So his compilation got passed on to somebody else. So somebody else is discovering that because of that one CD. So anyhow, but yeah, YouTube these days, man, it's a great, if you're not discovering it from the bands themselves, there's so many guys like us on, you know, doing videos that are talking about music. And I've discovered tons of stuff from just watching videos like that, or again, hanging out with friends. I mean, how did I discover Osric Tentacles? Hanging out with you guys. So
right. Don't blame me for that shit.
Well, how about War Beast? That's another one. I didn't know who War Beast was until I started hanging out with you guys. And
right,
War Beast. There's in the background there, a nice little drawing from him. Yeah, so there it is. That's awesome.
He's done a lot of artwork for those boys. I'm losing my mind over here.
There's many ways to discover music these days. It's still compilation CDs. I mean, my own record label put out a compilation CD just last year, and we gave them away. Anybody who ordered anything, we just gave them away. Matter of fact, we gave you a pile of them. I think we gave everybody piles of them just to give them away, because it's a great way to discover new music.
Yeah, I'm going through a couple of comments here. Hang on. Let me catch up on some comments. Baron Von Headbanger says he orders random stuff off of record labels too. I do like to do the record label dig, where I will go, like I showed you guys a few weeks ago, Dive Bomb Records, where I went and they had that sale. I got an email about a sale, and I went out there and you could preview each one of the bands because they had a video at the bottom, and there you go. Season of Mist has a $20 CD bundle for $20. Huh, what?
Yep.
Okay, and I'll be pulling up Season of Mist shortly. Bandcamp is awesome. I agree. Carcass brought that up earlier. Artists on Instagram, TJ from Forebode is saying that, seeing here they're creating stuff for. Hang on. Oh, the Metalhead box. My Metalhead box subscription lapsed, so I need to go renew that. I just got the email the other day, but I found some good stuff in the Metalhead box. That's a pretty cool way to find new music. Grego says, I usually discover bands from Scott's t-shirts. I'll try to find some AC/DC. That's awesome. Frazier, we do recognize the English lineup of bands at Hell's Heroes this year. You said, Scott, the guy blasted music out of his attic. I remember there was a dude in my little hometown that I remember seeing Van Halen for the first time. From that, Aerosmith, catching up on comments, and then I'll get to another point. Sorry. Bunch of bands from the older Heshers, t-shirts and vests from school. Where's that band from? Oh, here we go. Mark Fields. I used to check thank you lists by bands I liked. Multiple mentions of the same band, and I'd take a chance.
That's
More
a good
wins than losses that way. That's a good point for back in the day.
Back in the day too. Yep.
Now, one of the things that I want to turn people onto, now this is going to be a commercial for something else that I do, but I don't want to just talk about what I do. I also want to talk about, there are like Sweet Nightmares down Brian Posey's internet radio. No, it's not even internet radio. It's 90.9 down in Houston. I'm sure you've heard that before, Carcass.
Yep.
Brian's doing that channel. He plays tons and tons of classic metal and new bands. And here comes the shameless self-promotion. The Metal Rob Show. So what I did, I started out a year and a half ago. This guy named Brad Amos on deepdallasradio.rocks down in Dallas asked me if I wanted to do a show because he knew about the Metal Roundtable. And I said, sure. So I started playing mostly local stuff because they're local oriented. But here's the thing. I went out and I asked him if I could start branching out and playing a lot of newer stuff as well as continuing with the old local stuff and the current local stuff in DFW. So I'm playing current local Dallas bands. But there are two other things that I like to do. Modern tracks from classic bands, because forgive me for the hair metal list. Scott, you know this. Great White, still putting out music. Dokken, still putting out music. Slayer, until recently, still putting out new music. So all your classic bands, or at least a lot of them, Motorhead up until the end, Overkill, Exodus, they're all putting out new music. So make sure that you support those bands by buying their new music, not just hoarding their old music, because we all love it, but that latest Exodus album might be my favorite that they've ever done. So what I like to do on the show, modern tracks from classic bands, Exodus, Dokken, Great White, Slaughter, brand new Priest is great. If you've missed that, you're crazy. There you go.
Wow. Still
putting out great music.
Man, that thing rips too. That new Evil Dead.
Gosh. But the other thing is, I decided when I started doing the show that the one thing I wanted to do was really expose brand new music. And so I just sat down one day and I formulated a canned email, said, hey, I'm doing this, I'm on this show and that show, and I'm wanting music. Holy cow. My Gmail box is so full of links to videos and songs and albums, and I have more downloads than I can possibly comprehend. But dude, Frontiers, if you like modern hard rock, AFM, if you like modern metal, and Udo is still putting out music. Just put out a live album on AFM. So if you'll get on those guys' email lists, Season of Mist we mentioned earlier, just go find those record labels. Just Google heavy metal record labels, and they are dying to get you on their email list, and they will load up your inbox with more stuff than you can possibly keep up with. But somebody did ask on the show a few weeks ago, so I'm going to answer the question. Honestly, I'm not just trying to promote my show. Every Friday from 5 to 6 p.m. Central Standard Time on deepdallasradio.rocks. If you want to hear some of those new Frontiers bands, some of those new AFM bands, all that kind of stuff, check it out. Metal Rob Show every Friday from 5 to 6 p.m. And Scott's got it on his channel. And yeah, keep going. Keep going. This is good.
Well, I mean... I do approach things from an artistic side, and like that's how I kind of got to be friends with Forebode. They were so impressive that I just said I've got to draw them a picture. So in the process of drawing them a picture, I see it feels like I'm connected now to the Austin music scene through Forebode. There's tons and tons of heavy bands down there, and just because I drew a pretty picture, the same thing with Warbeast. I saw them live, and I thought, and that was back when they were Texas Metal Alliance, and they were just basically a charity thing. That their friend Wayne Abney had been in a motorcycle accident. He needed money for bills. All these all stars from Hammerwitch and Gamma Side and Rigor Mortis and all these bands that were huge in DFW just got together. They called themselves the Texas Metal Alliance, and they played a couple shows, made some money, so Wayne could heal up, and now he's back healthy and making music. And then they later changed their name to Warbeast. But I was so impressed when I saw him, I just thought, I'm going to draw a pretty picture. And I showed it to Bruce Corbett, rest his soul. And he said, "Hey, wait a minute, brother. You got to help us out. I like the vibe here." And guess what? The rest is history. And every T-shirt design, every album cover, every sticker, every whatever, they let me draw. They let me do that. And every time they were in the process of recording new music or whatever, I always got the inside skinny, and I couldn't wait to share it because I knew there were other people out there that were just couldn't wait to hear the new Warbeast. And I got to experience some of that process of how it was all recorded, and their friendship and their affiliation with Phil Anselmo. And, all of a sudden it's a multiplicity of ways to find new music.
Multiplicity.
There's a plethora of things that you can do to find new music. So
that's a metal word right there.
That is a metal word. But, to your point, that's the beauty of music. The thing about metal is as opposed to back in the late 70s, early 80s, is now there's history. There's real history there. And to your point, Rob, where you said to support these old bands still doing new music. I mean, there wouldn't be heavy metal now if there weren't the Venoms and the Exodus and the early Judas Priest and the Black Sabbaths and all this would have just been
well,
K-pop.
You don't want to get completely stuck in the back catalog, because for me, if I had never checked out Venom Inc., that Ave album may be the best thing they ever did. Fight Me.
Yeah.
I know that Venom is classic and all, and they're great. The old school Venom, black metal, and
Welcome to Hell.
And all that. But dude, that Ave record is unbelievable. And if I didn't check out new stuff from those old bands, I would have completely missed that. From the Very Depths is good as well. Let me address a couple of comments here. First of all, the show, you can find Deep Dallas Radio on TuneIn, Live 365, and iTunes. You can find Deep Dallas Radio, and that will take you to the Metal Rob Show. Thank you, Brad Amos, for pointing that out. I've also got Off Topic, But You Killed It on the Eternal Right remaster. Oh, thank you very much. I appreciate the kind words. KPFT in Houston is where you can hear Sweet Nightmares, Brian Posey's show, and I highly encourage you to check that out.
Yeah. Hey, Rob, let me interrupt for just 1 second, Rob.
Yeah.
I listened to that Eternal Right reissue you did, that remaster you did on vinyl. That thing sounds fantastic, man. You killed it on that.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Sorry to interrupt, but I didn't want to forget.
No, I don't think I've even played it since I did it. So yeah, that's awesome.
And I guess there's only one of us that hasn't actually heard it. So, but that's all right. I mean,
it's definitely of the LA glam variety.
Oh, yeah, well, maybe that's a good thing.
Girder wants to know when we're going to start talking about jazz. When we get paid to talk about jazz.
You know what? I can talk about jazz all day long, and I can actually link the two together. The jazz fusion thing, and even elements of thrash and heavy metal.
Hey,
okay, yeah, you can go ahead and just keep that in your collection. That's cool.
Our friend Greg at Girder says plethora. I'm sure that's a joke that I'm not getting right now. Maybe that's a metal word. And he asked, what's wrong with K-pop? I don't know.
Nothing.
It's terrible.
Nothing.
Oh, there you go.
They have really nice skin and good hair. They look like they make the Backstreet K-pop bands make the Backstreet Boys look like Motorhead. I mean, it's really extreme, but who cares? That's what you're making your living doing. That's great. If you want to buy it, fine.
Carcass, you'll like this. Fraser says you and Daniel Sawblade Shaw do badass artwork.
All right, thank you. Appreciate it.
Now Gerder's saying skin and just completely throwing me off because I don't know what you're talking about. I love you, Greg. You sexy beast.
Let me say something about that Sawblade thing, though. Sawblade is in a different he's in a different echelon than I am. I'm a hack, but I do coattail him and I follow him to the best of my ability and learn from his art. I have a bunch of it posted on the wall here.
Yes,
and,
you do.
He is amazing. But we all have our style. We all have our way of doing things. But yeah, to be lumped into that category with a guy like that, I mean, gee whiz.
I need to get a Sawblade original in my collection. I've got plenty of Carcass stuff, including the beer label that we did, that you did for my beer, which was pretty cool. I'm really proud to have that, and I've got some concert posters and stuff that you've signed, but I definitely need to get a Sawblade original in here. So, Daniel,
let me know. Let me let you know what he can do. He like those. I got a Motorhead, a Razor, and a Gamma Side. His rendition of those things. He did that Ace Frehley for Poser Mark down in Houston. That looks really cool. His own little idea of how the Space Ace would go. So maybe he could do one of Don Dokken or something. His own little rendition of.
There's nothing wrong with Don Dokken.
I didn't say that there was. I'm just saying I know that you like the guy.
I wear 80s metal like a badge of honor.
Okay. I know. Don't mess with your brand of metal. I hear you. Don't mess
with my brand of metal.
I got one more way that nobody's mentioned yet of discovering new music that has been worked a lot for me over the last 10 years is there's something on YouTube called the Vinyl Community. I don't know if any of you guys are part of the Vinyl Community or not, but I am. And the Vinyl Community does this thing called VCLT. And if you just type VCLT into YouTube, you're going to find a bazillion videos from people who basically receive boxes from other people who are in the vinyl community, just random records. So I send out records to somebody else I saw on YouTube who's part of the VC, and they send me records. You don't ask for anything in return. You just send them records. Hey, I think, I've been watching your videos. I think you might dig this. So I've sent out hundreds of records to people just because I'm like, oh, I think that dude will dig this. So I throw it in a box and ship it to him. It's called VCLT, which stands for Vinyl Community Love Train.
I like it.
Yep. I've sent out hundreds of records, and I've received hundreds of records and CDs and whatnot from people. It's a really cool way of not only discovering new music, but just like sharing your love of music and your passion for music, and just making someone feel good, have a good day. You know what I mean? And there's nothing like getting a record in the mail, especially when you weren't expecting.
Yeah.
So that's I've done a lot of that over the last 10 years, and that's just been great. So I thought I'd share that as well, since this channel is not necessarily part of the VC, but the VC is a big thing on YouTube.
So, so let me ask you something.
I want to tell Greg from Girder. He says that War Beast graphic is killer. I'm going to toot the horn for the Carcass right here. That is freehand, brother. That is pen and ink. I have seen it in action. He's a badass. And so if you need some custom metal artwork or logos, your boy is right there. I don't know if I pointed the right direction, but whatever. Hit up the Carcass on Instagram at CarcassJohnArt. You need to hold that still.
No, I want to surprise them. I just wanted to know that they're coming. That it's coming. So
what else have you boys got?
Well, I was going to ask, what is the coolest thing that you've just found, or someone had just sent you randomly, or because I can think of three things that I could say. But
I thought of one that just recently, like in the last couple of days, somebody on my friend of mine on YouTube came on and said, "Dude, you need to check out this band called Pulverizer." So Pulverizer, but with razor at the end. And so he sent me a link, went on to Bandcamp, and immediately purchased their new 7-inch single. Just a great traditional heavy metal band pushing towards speed and thrash. But yeah, I mean, that's the most recent one that I discovered, waiting for the record to get here.
Well, the coolest one that I have found in the past few months, and I'm not kidding one bit, this is absolutely the truth. That Stone Trip single, dude, that thing came into my Gmail box via Deep Dallas Radio. I guess they were out scouting internet radio shows to play their stuff, and that showed up in my email box. And I'm going to tell you the truth, it took a few days, maybe a couple weeks, before I even got to it and opened it and listened to it. And I was so blown away by that. So that is the coolest thing, hands down, that I've run across, because that is absolutely my favorite style of metal and hard rock. So running into those dudes and then having them on the show, discovering Golden Robot Records, figuring out that they are label mates with Steve Riley's LA Guns, finding Cicada Stone. It just kept going on and on and on. And then Carcass found some Melbourne bands during that whole search. And so for me, the coolest thing recently was running across that Stone Trip single.
Okay. Well,
I've been obsessed with this band. I know we've already talked about it, and everybody's tired of hearing about it, but I've been obsessed with this band over the last couple months. So, and I just, like I said, I discovered them mostly through you guys fighting over them on the channel. so yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna put this to bed. Those guys are amazing. They are amazing. They're outstanding. I don't even know how to describe it other than I don't even know. It is like jazz meets Pink Floyd meets some jam band. I don't know. It's extremely well done. It is next level talent and musicianship. I just like kicking Carcass in the balls because he was bringing it up all the time.
I can kind of call him progressive ambient.
Okay.
Well, a little bit, but Ed, the guitarist, who's like the brain trust of the whole band, he's actually played with Derek Sherinian of Dream Theater and Zakk Wylde on one of Derek Sherinian's solo records. So the guy's got some chops, and he can shred with the best of them. But Scott, that record that you showed, is that Strangitude? Yeah, Strangitude. That's the one that I heard in the record store. And once again, I was in the record store, and in fact, this was the Vinyl Edge down in Houston. They had been in the same place almost 35 years, I guess, and then they moved downtown. But Chuck was playing that over the speakers and whatever, and I said, I've got to have a copy of this. He said, I don't have a copy of that, but I have the live album. And I said, give me the live album. I want anything by this band. I was hooked immediately. So Strangitude has a special place in my heart. And you're right, Rob. It's an indescribable eclectic mix of things, but that's why I like them so much, because they're different. Kind of like two stories. I walked into Born Late Records one time, and I saw this recognizable graphic. It was black and white of a planet like Saturn with skulls in the ring instead of asteroids and debris. And I said, I've seen that before. And of course, the logo was unreadable. And I thought, I'm going to buy this just for the cover, because the cover was so cool. Well, it happened to be Blood Incantation.
Oh, yeah.
And even you agree that the Blood Incantation it's listenable. And if you're listening to Cattle Decapitation, good grief, then there you have it. So I discovered them by that, but it was so striking that the music actually, it had this atmospheric, spacey, whatever. And I almost thought that said Faith Bomb, but I digress. But when I was in Amsterdam,
we don't talk about that.
I walked into a record store, Zwartgoed, which is black gold in Dutch, and he was doing a mix and whatever, and he basically gave me a copy of what he was going to mix, and then he said, if you like that, then you'll like this tape. He said it's one of 50, and I said, well, I'll take a chance on it. And so it was €6, which is about $8, and I took it home. I couldn't listen to it till I got home because I didn't have a cassette player with me, but it's by a guy named his handle is Flying Monk. It's the only thing he did. There's 50 of them in the world, and I have one of them that I traveled 9 hours to Amsterdam to get. And I like it so much that that's one of those things that I'll never give it away. I'll never give it away. I'll never sell it. I'll share it. I'll let you listen to the music. But it was a game changer. And that one tape, as I connected with that guy and said, thank you for doing this. It's so amazing. It connected me to a bunch of people over in Europe that I'm still friends with today, just because of the connection of music. And so now they keep sending me cool new things, kind of like the vinyl community love train. I get emails and hits with new interesting tracks in that same style of music. So, man, music is so cool, because that's how you can lay all your feelings, political meanderings, religions, whatever, aside and connect with music.
Yep.
And I have a bunch of friends that, for example, the enigmatic, speaking of Sweet Nightmares down in Houston, the enigmatic Wes Weaver, bless the rest his soul. Ideologically, he and I did not see eye to eye on very much, but musically, we connected.
Yeah.
And the music that he put out, and he was in several bands, not the least of which was Blaspherian, which had Daniel Sawblade Shaw singing for a while. And like I said, ideologically, we didn't really mesh, but musically, it wiped all that. It put all that aside, and we could come together in one healthy musical relationship, so to speak.
Yeah.
So,
well, and that's the thing, is you find the common ground in any kind of relationship. Here we go, getting philosophical, but the three of us. Look at the three of us. We all think pretty different things. I mean, if anybody really knew what each of us thought, we're three pretty different dudes, but man, we're going to be lifelong brothers. I love you, boys. And music is what brought it all together. And I've seen Scott play live. I've seen Carcass's artwork. It's just so funny how I was just telling Mark Fields today about how I ran into a dude at a barbecue place here, and then went there with Larry Berrigan one time, and the kid freaked out that Larry Berrigan was there. And music just, it's great. It brings us together, and discovering new music still, to me, is at 51 is just the same for me as when I was 13, 14, and really starting to open Pandora's box toward all this music that I had never heard of. I still will put my Lawnmower album on. I'll get a new CD, rip it to my phone, go mow the yard, listen to a brand new album, and it just hits me like a ton of bricks, just like it did when I was a teenager. I love it. I'll never, ever get enough music.
Mark Fields said F-bomb, faith bomb, F-bomb.
I like TJ's comment
I've never put that together before.
I like TJ's idea of having Rob Halford at Casa de Carcass. I think
that'd be awesome.
That'd be pretty
That'd
awesome.
be great.
I bet he would do it too if we could get a hold of him.
And I could give him that poster that he wanted.
Yeah, that would be cool. Man, don't talk about Faith Bomb anymore.
Okay, all right. Obviously, there's a burr under that saddle there, cowboy.
Things have changed.
F-bomb.
So when we got our deal with New Renaissance back in
that he wanted,
02 or something like that, I got a call from Anne Boleyn, and I won't tell the whole story because there's some things that can't be told. But the story, I got a cold call from her about the album, and the press release was going to mention how they were going to be dropping F-bombs, all whatever. It was all about, the campaign was going to be all about F-bombs and this and that. Well, needless to say, the deal did not work out. So no more of that. No more information. Sorry.
Funny how our paths crossed on Anne Boleyn, but anyway, I digress. Carl from
your story's a lot better than mine.
Carl from Quebec City.
Funnier than mine.
Carl from Quebec City is listening in, and that is amazing. we can't cross the border, but we can with music on our internet radio show now, can't we?
That's
Thanks,
right.
Carl.
Oh man, I lost the comments. Ah, dang it. Oh well. Anyway,
TJ says he's always dropping a few F-bombs.
F-bombs on the show.
Man, I'm gonna die. I'm starting to choke over here.
Do you need the Heineken maneuver?
The Heineken maneuver. Maybe after the show.
Yeah.
All right, boys. Is that it?
That's it, man.
I think that's pretty much it. I mean,
it was a fun discussion, man.
It was good. When did we come up with that?
About an hour ago.
That's how we roll.
See, that's the whole premise of the show, and I guess we were going to save some of this for episode 100, but that's how this whole thing started. We just, you and I'd go to lunch on a Friday, and we just sit around and talk about music for a minute, and we kind of looked at each other one day and said, we should do this as a podcast or whatever, and so here we are, almost 100 episodes later, so... Anyway.
I had the idea for a while. I had even reached out to Scott about it. I had told him, "Hey, I'm thinking about doing this. What do you think?" And that we never even really talked about it much. But here we are.
Hey, do you know who Metal Overkill is?
I don't.
He said that he doesn't have a Facebook or Instagram. How can I get one of them badass rot albums?
Oh, you can email me. I am metalrob@gmail.com. I am metalrob@gmail.com. Email me with your address and I'll send you one.
There you go, Metal Overkill.
That's how you can do that. And I've got Donnell, yours is right here. Got your happy little name on it. And this one will come in. Yeah, so if a few more of you want a Rot Triple Black record, I am metalrob@gmail.com with your address.
And speaking of discovering new music, and Donnell, he's got a new record coming out with Pass the Ammunition, his band. And I've heard some new tracks. He's on a good path. And we all discover it here pretty soon. Because I'm going to draw some cool artwork for it, and he's going to put it out and hopefully play some live shows.
Stop talking about... Oh, you guys. So, Fraser, next time we see you, Fraser, in person, Carcass can tell his part of the story if he wants. I will definitely tell you my part of the story, no problem, but not on the internet.
Not on the internet.
Oh, wait, we got a late Thomas Rowan. Good thing I got some CDs for my 24th birthday, Metallica's debut, Black Sabbath's last album, and the Ultimate Collection, and the Offspring's Let the Bad Times Roll. Not a bad little fistful of music there.
There you go.
Cool. Pawpaw Wayne just hit me up on Facebook to get a rot record, so I'm in. All right, boys. Is that it?
That's it.
I think that's it.
I like it.
I think we're done.
Paw Wayne. Wait, I think I mailed one out to him.
I think you did.
I think I did. I'm going to tell you right now, live on the show, whether I mailed out a record to Pawpaw Wayne or not.
Oh.
Is everybody ready? I know this is riveting internet television or whatever.
Production value, whatever it is. Speaking of new music, new Forebode pretty soon, and it is blistering heavy.
Nice.
And as much as I miss Fast Eddie, man, this new cat's pretty awesome.
Oh, Pawpaw Wayne, I sent you something, brother. I don't remember what it was, but I think it was a rot record. You'll have it in a couple of days. I did mail yours, Tony. Yes, I did.
Sweet.
I love it. Customer service live on the Metal Roundtable.
Is that what happens when you run out of things to say?
Oh, man.
Start selling things. It's good.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, boys. So let's plug all the shows. The Metal Rob Show every Friday from 5 to 6 p.m. only on Deep Dallas Radio at the moment. And you can go to deepdallasradio.rocks. You can also look for Deep Dallas Radio on, if I can find it again, tune in, Live 365, and Apple Music. Scott, tell them about your show.
Yep, you can hook me up on YouTube, Scott Waters, or you can just search No Life Till Metal. Be a new look. No Life Till Metal, NOLIFETILMETAL. Just search for that, and you'll find me or Scott Waters on YouTube. You can also find me on Instagram at No Life Till Metal, and you can find me on YouTube at Scott Waters or No Life Till Metal Graphics.
I dig it. And Carcass.
At Carcass John Art.
Yep, at
On
Carcass John
Instagram.
Art. Sorry, I talked over you there.
That's okay. At Carcass John Art. I got stickers. Hit me up. Instant message me, and I will, or message me on Instagram, and I'll send you some stickers.
Yes, and don't forget, everybody on YouTube does this. Hit the like button on the video. Please subscribe and hit the little bell so that it will notify you when we go live and post new stuff. And also, we have a channel on the channel, or whatever you call it. I don't know. It's called Our Favorites, and I go through there every so often, and I'll post this Pantera show and that Skid Row show and this Iron Maiden video. And it's just a total list of kind of rare, weird stuff that I've found on YouTube. So go check that out if you're so
I will hold this one still. This is something I just finished. This is for Growl Records in Arlington. They just had their first real super live event, Frozen Soul. Guys are just absolutely devastating. If you love Bolt Thrower and good Swedish style death metal, check out Frozen Soul. But this is Growl Records on East Abram Street in Arlington. And that's just what we need. We need more record stores so we can discover more new music. So thanks, Natalie, at Growl Records for allowing me to do something kind of fun and cool.
All right, boy. Is that a ponytail?
Yes, it's a ponytail. I told you I'm never getting a haircut again. I want to be like Scott.
All right.
Yeah, see, yours is just on the wrong side of your face.
Now I'm one of the cool kids.
All right, dime bag.
All right, boys. That is episode 96 of the Metal Roundtable. Thank you so much for watching. We appreciate it very much. And until next time, metal will prevail.